Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. Visa, IBM, Ripple, Check, AC, Wire, Cards, Global Financial Messaging, BaaS, the banking network, card networks. We got all of that. And XRP 60 cent. They said it was failing. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $2.44 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. The market is up 4.5%. 62,900 plus for Bitcoin right now, up 23% on the 7-day with $1.2 trillion market cap. Take that. That is something. 3,400 plus for Ethereum, 17.7% up on the 7-day. 97.9 billion plus Tether. You can see most of the money's finding a home in Bitcoin or some other asset. XRP 60 cents, we're up 11.7 on the 7-day. Loving that for us as we're sitting at 60 cents. Ranging between 53 and 60 cents. We're at the top, and I hope XRP keeps pushing the lid off of this thing for all of us. And I want to remind you, we're 63 days away from the largest XRP conference in the world, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't mind telling you the most immersive experience you're going to have. I want you to know the VIP tickets are sold out, but the 2-day general admission ticket is still available. I encourage you to make the investment and get yourself a ticket. This is going to be one of the most important conferences you've ever come to because XRP Ledger, new amendments, new features, changing the integrity and characteristics of the way the XRP token and the ledger work forever. Transformational amendments happening to the ledger. David Schwartz on stage in a fireside chat talking about it. This is a very, very important conference, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you that. Knowledge is empowerment, and you have the opportunity to do that at this conference. Link below, xrplasvegas.com. And take a look at this here as a rumor today that Senator Warren is meeting with none other than the Chamber of Digital Commerce today in D.C. Well. Why now? Because Deaton is running for Senate, baby. That's why. And I say to Perry Ann Boring and Cody Carbone and everybody over there at the Chamber of Digital Commerce, when you meet with Elizabeth Warren today, tell her to start packing. She wasn't your friend yesterday, and she wasn't your friend a year ago, and she wasn't your friend 2 years ago, and she's never going to be your friend. She wants to get you to work with her so she can take out the legs underneath of John Deaton, who is our friend and who is a real leader, who is a crypto advocate. We don't need a senator like Elizabeth Warren, and she knows it. And she only wants to be friends now because she knows John Deaton can unseat her ass. Jim Cramer. Oh boy. Just listen to this guy.
There's underperformance, okay? Okay, it's depressing.
I don't want to.
What has Bitcoin ever done for mankind? Are you ever on a Bitcoin phone? Watson, come here, I need you. I mean, what is it?
Well, coming up, United Healthcare is apparent.
You know, it's not hard to see Jim Cramer in a confused state. Right? Because he's a Wall Street puppet. He says what he's told to say. Right? How is it that the inverse Cramer is more accurate than the real Jim Cramer? Because the real Jim Cramer is a hack for Wall Street. Bitcoin is becoming an alternative currency on a global basis, says Bloomberg strategist Mike McGlone. Listen to what he says. I got some comments on this.
Wait, can you just break down this whole halving thing? I don't understand how that's okay to do that.
Well, hello, hello, Alex. It's in the code. I have a son who's a programmer. I asked him about it. He says, "No, it's the code, Dad. It's just by code. Every 4 years, the supply gets cut in half. So right now, all the miners in the world will only create 900 coins a day, and then as of the halving, it'll cut to 450. So it doesn't have that high price cure that you really see affect most commodities, and why most commodities are in bear markets, with the exception of gold. But it also on the supply side, it's just the way it's set up. And as our colleague Zeke Foss wrote, number go up. Well, that's Bitcoin is designed to go up. But now it's becoming an alternative currency on a global basis, and the U.S. is jumping in that fray. And also a key thing you have to look at it from a macroeconomic standpoint is China's kind of pushing back. Remember, China's going for gold, the largest gold buyer in the world, and they were associated with this war. And the U.S. is just to prove ETFs and Bitcoin. So you see where the world's going towards intangible assets, and Bitcoin's the most significant in cryptos.
I would say that there's, obviously, there is some accuracy to that. What I would disagree with, Bitcoin is not becoming an alternative currency on a global basis. And the reason I say that is because, see, unfortunately for Bitcoin, it has been outside of the government system. And it has been the white paper that has talked about it being anti-bank, anti-government, anti-establishment. That's the whole narrative behind it, which the libertarian in me thinks that's beautiful. However, the problem here is this. The spot ETF, continue to break records and pushing Bitcoin to prices higher and higher, says Eric Bokunis in a great interview from Tony Edwards here. Senior ETF analyst says he breaks down the performance. He's basically saying, and I don't need to play it because what he's really saying here is that Bitcoin ETFs are melting faces. And you can't even compare it to anything other than the gold ETFs when they came out. And Bitcoin's really crushing in the same result, it's crushing the gold ETFs when they came out. However, this is the point we need to understand. As Bitcoin surpasses the Russian ruble to become the 14th largest currency in the world, remember this quote: "Countries will not give up their ability to control monetary supply. They'll roll tanks into the streets first because it's giving up sovereignty." Brad Garlinghouse. And that was him quoting Bernard Bernanke, the former Federal Reserve chair, who said that. See, that's the problem. Now, you and I both know, and I've got exposure to Bitcoin. I hope we all make $1 gazillion. But we know that there's some things wrong. First of all, the settlement time takes too long. The transaction fees are way too high. So this has been reduced to an investment product. And that's okay. But you're not going to want to keep running around saying that this is, a currency for the world. All that's going to do is make you a target. And I would suggest knocking that off immediately. That's what I would suggest. Because you use this alternative currency business and it isn't going to do anything but make you a target. That much I can tell you. There's a story I could share on that. Have you guys heard the story? You heard the story about the bird who couldn't fly? All he wanted to do was fly to the top of this tree. It was a pheasant. And pheasants can't fly real high. And he's sitting in this pasture and he's looking at these bulls, and a bull comes up to him one day and he says, "I can tell you're not happy. What's wrong?" And the pheasant says, "Well, I've always wanted to fly to the top of that really tall tree. I bet the view's beautiful up there." And the bull says, "Well, why don't you eat some of my dung, and it will give you the nutrients and things that you need to get strong enough over the next few days to fly to the top of that tree." Well, he takes the bull's advice, and over the next few days, a week or so, he gets strong enough from eating the dung from the bull, just as he had said, to fly to the top of that tree. And he flies and he gets to the top of that tree. And just as he sits perched at the view he's always wanted to be at, out walks the farmer from his house, sees this big fat pheasant at the top of the tree, grabs his shotgun, shoots him right out of the tree. What's the moral to the story? Bullshit might get you to the top, but it won't keep you there. Stop saying you're an alternative currency. That's the recommendation going forward here. Hope you like it. BRICS began creation for a new digital payments platform. Now that's something real, because you got a coalition of countries embracing that idea, right? And on their way to this new digital platform, they're de-dollarizing the US dollar as quick as they can. It's a very real threat. The world is changing on the geopolitical stage every second of every day, very quickly now, which is why I find it to be so important and so key that Ripple has onboarded new integrations for the XRP ledger, 2 of which have been disclosed so far this week, and we know that they are Axelar, which is bringing over 50 different blockchains interoperable to the XRP ledger, and the DEX, most importantly, because all of these chains tying into the world's decentralized exchange, known as the XRP ledger, is the goal, ladies and gentlemen, right? And then we also know that not only that, but we have automated market maker features that are going to be making their way to the ledger in short order. And Zonix, who is going to help with the collaboration and the tokenization process of real-world assets on the XRP ledger as well. Now, why would you partner with anybody for real-world assets unless you knew there's a great demand to do so and put it on the XRP ledger? I'm super excited. And how about this? Take a listen to this. How about stablecoins on the XRP ledger? Listen how Brad Garlinghouse is so excited.
Some investment in CBDCs, but when are you going to move into stablecoins?
Yes.
One down. Pivots, we have a max Q.
Roger control, we are max Q.
But when, Brad?
When?
Yes.
There it is. It's the I can't speak on it, but yes. And look, this goes to me, what I take from that is it's been very calculated what they do and when they do it at Ripple. And very measured. Remember, they're the ones forging ahead. They're the ice boat breaking the ice, the icebreaker, creating all this legal clarity through their case. Thank God they've had the fortitude to do it and the coffers to boot. I think stable coins are so close, just like real world asset tokenization. It is tokenization. That's what it means, and it's coming. They're not making all these partnerships because it's not happening. Now let's pull back a little bit. D. Michaels reminds us right here. He says, remember, XRP is the only cryptocurrency with features and functionality to properly serve as a electronic special drawing rights from the IMF as a stablecoin to facilitate transactions between multi-currency corridors. And he's absolutely correct on that. Take a listen to an older clip of Brad Garlinghouse explaining it.
Because it requires capital to get it there. Our view in the future is you don't have to have this pre-funding, and instead you can use a digital asset to have global liquidity on demand. Now, we build upon a tech stack, an open source technology called XRP. XRP originally was built by some engineers who had seen some of the flaws of Bitcoin and the challenges of scalability around Bitcoin. Where Bitcoin today, on a per transaction basis, it's rather slow and rather expensive. XRP is very, very fast, about 1,000 times faster per transaction and 1,000 times cheaper per transaction. The other dynamic, of course, of correspondent banking is some of the more quote unquote exotic currencies, exotic corridors have been left to kind of stand on their own. And the liquidity in digital assets could be applied to actually make that much more democratized and a level playing field. Ripple's vision from the beginning really has been to apply these technologies in the same way that TCP/IP and HTTP are the technologies underpinning the Internet of Information. These blockchain technologies will be the underpinnings of an Internet of Value, where we have connected devices, we have connected information that will allow payments to flow. And as Norman was describing, if you're a large corporation moving $100 million, that's one thing. If you're a freelancer working in the Philippines doing design work for a company in London and you want to get paid $30 or 30 pesos, Philippine pesos, that's not a transaction that can easily be enabled. And in fact, for the companies that enable that, they require the freelancer to set up an account and they don't actually pay it out until there's roughly 1,000.
Oh, my apologies, but let's listen to the next clip.
Let's just take it one step further. Even if we did introduce AML regulation that was globally applicable to all institutions, all digital currency exchanges, irrespective of jurisdiction, I want to tell you it won't really, it's not going to be able to effectively handle the transaction risk. Because all transactions are being happening underneath, on the blockchain, underneath these digital currency exchanges. The transactions that are going through the exchanges, yes, they're going to be monitoring that type of activity, but who is monitoring the transactions that are conducted on the blockchains themselves? There is no financial institution today, there's no company today, with the possible exception of Ripple Labs, that has been required by regulators to monitor and report on suspicious activities that are being conducted on the blockchain. Oops.
Has been required by regulators to report all this information. Isn't that something? Keep listening.
Digital wallets. They can be established on the blockchain by anyone from anywhere. They don't have to be opened through a digital currency exchange. They have global reach once they're opened for instant access to cross-border transfers, and they're easily accessible via the internet. I want to give you an idea. This is what a digital wallet address looks like on a blockchain. I've given you an example here of a Ripple wallet address here, and there's a Bitcoin wallet address. That's what you see on a blockchain. The cryptocurrencies are transferred from one address to another address, and in most cases, there's no other additional identifying information associated with those wallets. You can't even determine with any degree of confidence where those wallets are located because of IP address spoofing. It masks where the sender is based, and it shows that it's coming from a different location. So what was Ripple going to do? You see hundreds of thousands of these addresses all over XRP Ledger, and at Ripple we had to connect allegations of unusual activity, thefts, crime, phishing scams, pyramid schemes. Users reported into us alleged illegal activity. We opened a repository for them to deposit their reports, and we use that then to create an investigation and to try and link all of this suspicious activity to identify culprits, to identify high-level patterns of activity on XRP Ledger that could potentially be suspicious, given the information that we had available to us.
Well, there you have it. Sounds like we're going to be monitoring the activities on the ledger, right? Yeah. Remember the SEC was going to run a note on the ledger too. That's from a few years ago. Now we'll see where we're all at today. Like how's that coming? Well, here's how it's coming. Take a listen here. That's Visa, IBM, and Ripple right there. That's what you need to know. Now, this is very low and hard to hear, but to be perfectly honest, you're getting this. This is what it is, and he's talking about the payments and how the cooperation together is working.
We've seen important solutions emerge from.
This is it right here, right? I mean, you can't even make this up. Look at this. IBM, Visa, RippleNet. It's all right here. They're saying that they failed. Where do you see it? Where do you see it? I don't see it failing. Payment enablers, checks, ACH, wire, cards, virtual cards, push payments, digital wallets. It's all sitting right there. Emerging methods waiting to happen. And the infrastructures used. Visa, MasterCard, which Ripple's partnered with both. BaaS, banking circle payments, right? Global financial messaging system, and Ripple, blockchain-based, sitting right there. Sitting right there. I'm sure it's because they're not going to use it. It's the same reason you don't see a McDonald's sign in here. Because they're not using McDonald's. They're using Ripple, right? You know, the one that everybody else is trying to suggest has failed. It's embarrassing, isn't it? It's embarrassing what our own patience will not allow us to understand. Because that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's not up to us. It's up to them. It always has been. And I can't wait. And whether it's $5, $8, $6, 13, 27, 39, we've seen all the figures. All I know is give us stablecoin legislation and watch real asset tokenization happen in the blink of an eye. And CBDCs be launched in other countries, because I don't want one here in the U.S. And you watch what will happen then, because that's the moment I'm really waiting for. We're going into the Freedom Zone, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you'll join us. We're going to show you how you can get electricity for free. Oh, yeah. And you know they don't want you knowing about this, just like they don't want you knowing how to make a car that runs on water. Because those people have a bad habit of coming up dead after they show it to the world. We're going into the Freedom Zone right now. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you in the Freedom Zone. Digperspectives.com. Come on in. Welcome.